you're in the mortgage industry. You help a lot of veterans. That's your passion, is helping veterans out. I've heard you say that you're the best damn VA lender in the country.
Right, I believe that.
I'm going to give you a chance to back that up right now.
So, as a veteran, I am deeply passionate about serving my fellow veterans, and I am fiercely protective of my fellow veterans. I take the same attention to detail, hard work, and work ethic that it took to become a Navy SEAL, and I've applied that to the mortgage business. I know VA guidelines better than anybody else. I actually read the book. 90% of my business is VA loans. Most lenders do an occasional VA loan, like maybe out of 10 loans that they do one or two. It's the complete opposite for me. Out of 10 loans, 8 or 9 of them are VA loans. So I just simply do more, have a lot more experience about it. I am passionate about serving my fellow veterans, fiercely protective. I mean, I fought for my veterans, my fellow veterans on the battlefield. I take the same mindset and approach when I fight for, look after, and protect my fellow veterans when doing a VA loan. Sounds a little bit corny, but that's how I get fired up and passionate about what my job is today.
And when you talk about that, that's something I imagine that you're helping a lot of those veterans with, because they've gone through the same things you've gone through. And it's such a shift in mindset from jumping out of planes and shooting guns and blowing stuff up to sitting behind the desk every day.
Right.
And I imagine that you go from such an exciting, heart-pumping, passion of this physical activity to sitting behind the desk. And a lot of these veterans are doing the same thing. They're coming back, and some of them may not even have a desk to sit behind.
Right.
So I imagine that you end up in some long conversations and become somewhat of a counselor. Am I right, for some of these people?
Absolutely. That's where for me, again, doing the mortgages is like paperwork that's, death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's, that's not fun. What's fun is when I get to connect with another veteran, when I get to really help them understand a mortgage. I think a lot of people, when they buy a house, whether it's first, second, or third time, I have had people come into my office. This is the second or third house that they're buying, first time they've been working with me, and they leave my office saying, wow, nobody ever explained that to me like that. I never knew that. So I think a lot of people go through the mortgage process, and they go, well, I think I understand what's going on. Okay, sounds good. And they kind of sign the paperwork, and they're like, yeah, but they don't really know. And my goal is that I meet with as many of my clients as I possibly can. And I spend an hour to an hour and a half, and I walk them through every aspect of the loan. When they leave my office, they really understand how interest rates work, where the closing costs are coming from, what their choices are in an interest rate, what the advantages or disadvantages of going with one rate or versus the other, what the challenges are. I don't oversell anything. I want my folks to feel informed and walking out like they're making an informed decision about the mortgage process. Not, well, I think he's doing all right by us. That's not good enough for me.
And you take it a step further as well by kind of sharing your experience and helping some people who may be on that same sort of path of trying to figure out, how do I get excited every day?
Right.
Now that I don't have my camouflage on anymore.
Right.
And I don't have this great sense of purpose.
Right.
That I once had, where I felt like I was carrying a whole nation on my shoulders along with my fellow soldiers. Mm-hmm. And now I'm an accountant, or working as a bartender, or whatever it may be that they're doing. And that's got to be a really important piece of the puzzle, because we continue to have problems with vets coming home. I'm glad that there are companies out there now who are going out of their way to hire veterans. Starbucks is one of them. There's others out there. Mm-hmm. And that's great. But that doesn't fix the problem that you're talking about. Somehow you figured it out. You figured out how to get passionate and get behind what you were doing here once you had left your duty to the country behind. And I think that is something that you can really share and help change lives with.
This is a topic I'm very passionate about, Derek. Here's what happens. I went through that. I think all veterans go through a transition struggle at one level or another. So for me, I left something that I wanted to do my whole life. I accomplished that goal, passionate, super fun, exciting, and left active duty. I didn't really want to, but I had 2 kids born on back-to-back deployments. I had to make a tough choice to spend time with my young children. So you leave something that you feel very strongly about, that you can be very proud of, and then a steady 2-week paycheck, the camaraderie, the brotherhood of your fellow soldiers, sailors, Marines, and then you find yourself in the civilian sector, a very different kind of a mindset, frankly, a very different work ethic, different expectations. People have a hard time showing up to work on time, and that's just not acceptable in the military. And in the military, we have ways of handling that aren't acceptable in the workplace. Okay? So you get out and you've got to learn a new skill set. You've got to learn a new way to interact with people and to kind of have patience with people who don't have that kind of a mindset that you've come accustomed to. You've got to reinvent yourself. You've got to find a new purpose, a new passion, a new skill set, and that's hard. And now compound that potentially with maybe some post-traumatic stress. We're dropping the D off of that word now because post-traumatic stress actually is a healthy reaction to an unhealthy situation.
Right.
But a lot of guys come back with post-traumatic stress, guys and gals. And so how do you make that transition? And it hasn't been easy. You know, you made the comment, well, Andrew, you seem to have done that. But let me tell you, there's been hard times. I went through a divorce. I lost my house to foreclosure. I'm in the mortgage business. I mean, imagine that. Imagine how I felt about that. I'm in a new business, trying to build new clients in 2007 when I'm brand new to the business, losing my house to foreclosure, going through a divorce. Got my kids half the time. I'm Mr. Mom the other half the time. It was hard, going through some emotional things. I lost friends, close friends who were killed on deployment, dealing with that emotionally, trying to build a business. A transition can be very, very, very hard. That's why we have a lot of veterans who are taking their own lives, and it doesn't have to be that way. Veterans out there who are going through a hard time, you know, I get emotional about this because you got to know that there's another option, and you got to reach out to your fellow brothers and sisters, man. It's not easy, but we've all gone through that at some level. You can't do it alone. You've got to reach out, and you know what? Reach out to me. I don't care. I'm greatly on the other side of a big chasm that was hard to cross, but you can get through it. And there is a great opportunity in life after the military. Sometimes it's hard to even see that. What's the point, you know? So I'm very passionate about helping my fellow veterans, not just the ones who are on active duty and helping them have a smooth mortgage experience while they're dealing with workups and deployments and one spouse is gone or home or whatever, but also help my veterans who are going through a challenging time trying to reinvent themselves and find a new place in the world after the military.
It's former Navy SEAL Andrew Paul in studio with us right now here on Smarter San Diego. And, you know, Andrew, you've expressed your passion for your fellow vets in a number of different ways throughout the years, and your passion for this country. I would love to know what your thoughts are on that, just in general. You're raising two boys, right?
Right.
You're raising two boys in America that you helped protect and served so righteously. I mean, what do you think about the state of this country? Is there anything that because protecting freedom means a lot of things. It means,
sure.
Freedom for people to burn the flag,
right?
Freedom for people to curse the military, and there's organizations that do that, and it's hard for me, based on my beliefs, to think that that's okay, but that's part of what you protected. How do you feel about the current state of this country that you served?
We're always going to have challenges in this country. America is still the greatest nation on earth, and I believe that, and I don't feel ashamed by that, and neither should anybody else. You should be proud to be an American. There's nothing wrong with being proud of America and saying this is the greatest country. It doesn't mean that Great Britain isn't a great country. It doesn't mean that Greece isn't a great country. They've got some debt issues. But it's not to say that we look down on it. I believe America is a great country, and there's nothing wrong with that. We have our challenges too. Freedom means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and that's part of the definition of freedom. Freedom to burn the American flag. Here's the deal. In my opinion, you have the right and the freedom to burn the American flag. You're a jerk for burning the flag. I find it extremely disrespectful.
It's offensive.
It's very offensive to me. But because I believe so deeply in freedom, I'm willing to set my personal feelings aside and honor your right to be an idiot. Okay? Here's the deal. I expect the same respect in return as well. Sure. It's interesting. We're in interesting times. I think we're always in interesting times. In 1800, they were in interesting times.
Sure were.
Right. So, America is a great nation, and I've heard this said before, and I firmly believe this. America is an anvil that's worn out many a hammer, and we'll wear out any hammer that comes our way, whatever it is, whatever it looks like. We'll wear that hammer out too.
That's awesome. Great stuff from former Navy SEAL Andrew Paul from Benchmark Mortgage. If you're looking to get a VA loan, he's the guy to call. Best damn VA lender in the country. Andrew Paul, thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Really appreciate your time.
All right.
That's it for this edition of Smarter San Diego. Stick around for more commercial-free content where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.